The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, good evening. It's Chris Hart, the Chris Hart Show on Revolution Radio, and I hope I'm coming through loud and clear. I've got a feeling I'm not coming through loud and clear, but fingers crossed I am. It's quite hectic in London. I've just driven from the centre of the capital out to the countryside, and it's snowing and the rain is building up, and it's pretty horrid. Out here at the moment, there's been a lot of flooding and lots of flooding over here. So it's really pretty dire. So I'm going to try and cheer myself up with a good show. We've got some interesting guests. Tonight, I'd like to dedicate the show to a friend of mine, Olivia Makepeace, whose dog has passed away recently. So that's for her beloved pet that's sadly, I just heard tonight, just as I come in, that it's passed away. So I dedicate the show to him, and I'm really sorry to hear that news, because it's awful when you get really attached, and I know she's really attached and her daughter's really attached, and so they must be going through it at the moment. So all prayers in their direction. And so I'm going to try and bring on my guests right now. I feel quite exhausted today. I was up in London with the team from Hacked Off, and I signed a contract, and I probably shouldn't have signed a contract. I signed a contract to discuss what I'd done in the past for the News of the World and other related newspapers like the Mail, and to work through paperwork of mine in the past. So I've signed a contract to do that. I've signed a contract to not speak about it anymore. So from this point forward, I won't be speaking about it. But we had a meeting today with the MP Evan Harris, who I know Lisa Williams knows from the past. She also was an MP, and also another journalist that I've worked with. And he also has some interesting news. He was the one who brought Vice on board to Basis, and they did some filming. I don't know what's happened to it at the moment. Alana keeps saying that it's due to come out, but I haven't seen it. But he also told me that Hollywood were looking for a script for targeted individuals, and would I be willing to work as a research person on that? Tiny bit offended, because I don't need to research on it. I could actually write the script. But anyway, I will be meeting with him tomorrow to talk about it, and I thought maybe to perhaps centre it around Miles and Bases. I haven't really managed to talk to him about it, but he is going to be coming on tonight with my other guest, James Rink, who most of you have heard of. So I'm going to bring James on if I can first. Okay, it's maybe silly of me to add guests after the show, but I was always found it quite difficult that they would talk while the music was on. He's not coming on, isn't that just your typical okay, it's not working. One sec. Let's bring Miles on, who if I can. Yeah, he's coming on, so I can't seem to get hold of James. He seems to have gone offline. Don't worry, he will be back. Mr. Johnson? Oh, God. Boring. Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson? Oh, he's not with us either. Mr. Johnson? Okay, I'm asking, is he there? I don't know. He seems to be there. Mr. Johnson.
You talking to me?
Yeah. You were there all the time.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, don't worry.
I've only just got in.
Oh, okay, don't worry. Well, stay with us.
It's 2 degrees here and bloody freezing. It's nice, wet, freezing, horrible English weather.
It took me about 3 hours to get from London. I was just really...
You mean there was half a drop of snow and one leaf on the line, so the whole country falls apart?
Yeah, it's really horrible. The roads are like really wet, and parts of Essex have been evacuated because of flooding. It's just like so wet, but it's snowing. It's actually snow rather than rain. Well, it was snowing where we are.
Well, at 2 Celsius, it almost starts to snow.
Well, it's definitely snow. There was flakes. My son kept getting out of the car and getting snowballs off the roof and throwing them at me, even though...
Well, that's the first sensible thing you should do.
I was sick last night. I was up all night throwing up, so I felt really weak.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's the old throwing up disease.
I thought it was food poisoning because I was kind of okay today, but I do feel a bit weak. I didn't really feel up to getting snowballs in the face.
Well, I didn't know any parent was ever designed for that, but that's what parents are designed for.
I know. I was just like, oh man,
Well, I'm operating on my new Skype 2 computer.
Oh, right.
This is the very first time.
As you know, I was going to bring James Rink on, but he's not.
He's cried off.
What?
He's cried off, hasn't he?
No, he hasn't. He was there. He sent me a little message, and he said that.
Busy.
No. He said that Kent. Oh, well, there he is. Hang on, he's saying hi. So he is there. He's not tried to let you down last minute. Hang on, let me ask him to put his status on. Please put...
Well, this is a whole new experience. I've got a clip mic on. We could do TV.
Well, he wants to show his face, so if you want to film it, I don't...
No, I don't have the recorder.
Okay, don't...
My systems are compromised.
Really?
Oh, maybe I'll see.
Well, I think he's showing his face. Oh, there he is. Oh, sorry.
God.
Okay, he's... Okay, Tom. Right, okay. Now I'm going to bring him on. He wants to do a video. You know what he's like? He's quite pretty, isn't he? So I suppose he wants to show off his face.
Don't ever say that. Jesus, it'll be vain as hell. You know these super soldiers. They may not be able to jump off tall buildings, but, they don't have hissy fits.
There he is. Great T-shirt. Hello, James.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, James Rink, everybody, and I'm sure all my listeners have heard of you and watch your shows, which are really good, by the way.
Well, for those who don't, for God's sake, tell people who they are.
Sorry, James, introduce yourself to my listeners who maybe don't know. Some of them don't know who you are.
Yeah, hi there. So, my name is James Rink, and my show is Super Soldier Talk. You can find me not only on YouTube, but I'm also have a website, supersoldiertalk.com. You could go check that out. We go into subjects about my labs or the secret space program. Of course, super soldiers, which they don't actually call them super soldiers. They call them cyborgs. But for the sake of all the listeners out there, we're going to call them super soldiers.
Excellent. And where did you start? It doesn't matter. Leave your video on. It's more interesting for me if I can see someone.
Yeah, it's just that the camera is it's kind of hard to talk to, and camera talk to you at the same time. Okay, I'll try to figure something out. But yeah, what was your question?
Where did you? Because I've seen stuff with you and Max online, and I wondered when you sort of realized you were a super soldier, and what made you realize, and how did that happen?
Yeah. So it began for me back in 2005 when I was working with my friend Nathan Wilder, and he had a lot of psychic abilities and gifts. So he claimed he was when he would get angry, he could push somebody across the room telekinetically. He had a fight with his girlfriend over. Well, it wasn't with his girlfriend. It was somebody else who was coming on to his girl. And then he got kicked out of school, and then he told me about these other rage and anger issues he had. So I started doing some research on not only psychic abilities, extraterrestrials, as well as the super soldier phenomenon when I came across an article on the David Icke website about Andy Perot, and he wanted to he claimed that Andy Perot was taken to an underground base in Montauk and put into a consciousness chair, which are basically it's a chair from a crashed UFO, if you want to call it UFO, but they've got their own names, these vessels, that the military was able to retrofit at Montauk and able to manifest matter out of thin air like a chest of diamonds. So I was telling my friend Nathan, hey, maybe you were taken to an underground base. And I was just kidding. I wasn't serious about any of this stuff because when it doesn't happen to you, you don't necessarily think it's real. And then when you realize that this thing is real, then that's when things start to change in your life. So Nate said that he was taken to an underground base. He was put onto treadmills. He could run faster than others. He grew up on a base where up to the age of 3, where only kids like himself spoke to each other telepathically. Apparently, he was inserted, given a surrogate family. I guess everybody's memories were wiped or altered, but his alters remembered a lot of the stuff. And then, so I gave him the orders to rebel, and then apparently he did. One of his alters that came out claimed that he telekinetically destroyed the base, and he also activated my DNA so that I could do everything he could do, he claims. And then that's when I started getting needle marks on a daily basis. Well, first it started once or twice a week, then it went to once a day, then twice a day, and I think the most was like 5 times a day, which were basically what I believe to be nano injections, which I later learned were femto injections, and we can go into that if you want to. But so did that answer your question?
Yeah. What are the what were the little insect? What were they? Those
Biobots. Yeah. So there are different types of biobots. They come from different groups. It all kind of depends on which group, what type of person you are, what programs you're in, and what their ultimate goal for you is. In my case, the biobots, it is my belief they were trying to prevent me from tapping into my super psychic abilities. They create not only, of course, I'm sure in this show you've probably talked about alters, and I don't really want to necessarily go down that route because it's already been discussed. However, they've taken alters a step forward where now they can plug you into a computer and create an alter like a cyborg, for instance, and they can inject you with some femto technology, which are femtobots, biobots, but they're the size of femto, which is 1 to the 15th power. Nano is 1 to the 9th. So nano would be altering the codons of your DNA. Femto would be altering the quarks within the codons of the DNA. So they could create this template and shoot anybody up with this femto tech. And when the femto is turned on, you shapeshift into whatever they want you to look like. And that's why they are able to take thousands, or if not millions of people and turn them into cyborgs. Now, Corey Goode talks about how the secret space program is trading with other extraterrestrials. What Corey Goode doesn't tell you is what they're trading. And they trade, of course, with these extraterrestrials for technology. Now, they abduct people off of planet Earth, shoot them up with this femto tech to turn them into cyborgs, and then they trade those cyborgs to off-worlders who use them for all sorts of things, but mercenary armies and so on. But yeah, it's my belief it is unethical to do this. But on the other hand, I also think this technology could have great healing impact to the world if we could use it in a way that actually benefited humanity and not just trying to turn them into the cyborgs. But yeah,
I've never heard of it before. Is it possible to look it up? FIMTO. Is it possible to Google it?
FEMTO. Yeah, femto.
Oh right, I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So-called black goo. That's all femto tech. It's all that artificial intelligence. But there's different types of femto, but goos. I mean, but yeah, some good, some bad. I'm not the expert on it, but I could try to answer some of your questions.
Where does it come from?
Well, this would be repeated from someone else. Carl's Vets. I don't know. Maybe Miles could say the guy's name. But he says that essentially it was a world that was covered.
Yeah, it's Carl Heitzweiler.
Yes, and
Harold Heitzweiler with an A. The stuff that we have was deliberately deposited here.
Okay.
That's the problem. It's whoever. It's not the actual substance we've got to worry about. It's what the intention was of those who planted it here. And the Nazis were working it that way back in the 1930s. But the basic physics on engineering an unhappening thing, a health issue in a body was suppressed in the 1930s. You basically unhappen a disease or an error back to the original design state of what the body is. So you don't need the femto technology to do that. You can just unhappen it. In other words, you reduce the physical body back to the light image that the original body was designed for, but you use that other technology you're talking about to enhance it so that the biological body will then be stable, which is one of the problems they've been having for so long, that they didn't have a stable biological body with a human biological body. This stability didn't work, but they've got that now, the stuff that you're talking about.
Wow.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, we hear you, Miles. Thank you.
I thought it was disagreeable to hear me eating Christmas cake.
Oh, it sounds delicious anyway, but no, we don't hear you eating any cake. But thanks for letting us know.
I didn't want you to hear that.
Appetites.
Okay, there we are. I disarmed
Yes.
everything from an asinine to an asinine laughing state, but the stuff you're talking about is really seriously incredible and very serious.
Right.
So it was put here from
the Montauk chair you're talking about is what Barry King was referring to, the trip seat in England, and I got word that maybe that original base AL499 was going to be demolished. So they're obviously moving.
So that stuff came from off planet, did it?
The so-called black goo that the Germans are working on, and the problem with that is it's a pathological it's a lower consciousness state. It's just basically a pathological kill, eat, survive mechanism. It doesn't have any reasoning. And this is one of the philosophical points, that if you gave cyborgs pain, or if you gave robots pain, what would that do to the logic of their homicidal destruct thing? They may evolve a consciousness, which would then deal with that, which is what some of the TIs are talking about. The kind of technology inside people, there's no way they had their heads opened up and somebody stuck a needle in and left something in there. So this stuff must have grown or become part of the human. That's what what James is talking about.
So the femto stuff, that also has come off world, James, or not?
Yeah. Our U.S. government is too stupid to make stuff like this. But yeah, so essentially, the story goes is that the Draco were a very warlike race, and they invaded a planet that was covered in this black goo. And then
this is the problem. Sorry, James. The problem is that the Draco aren't evolved enough to have done it naturally. They must have been contaminated by the black goo first, which then gave them the ability to come to us. It's the other way around.
Sorry, what was the story? Can I hear the story, because I haven't heard it before? Sorry, James? What was the story?
They were very warlike, and then they were constantly trying to take over other worlds. So they came across this world that was infested with black goo, and they themselves became infested, and then they came to planet Earth, and then it spread. So it what it actually even if you were to take a very loving and benevolent person, what it does, it makes you more negative, and it turns off your psychic abilities.
Yes, that's the problem. But the point is that it's the other way around. The Draco were infected by whatever spread this stuff like a virus. So that made them that. If this what the Germans were doing, this stuff would make you into a homicidal killing machine. It turns off all your higher consciousness functions.
Right. So, and now our governments are using it against us, James?
Well, this is what they did in the Falklands War. They started to use that stuff, and it killed the 42 Marconi scientists who were tasked with dealing with it. But all it was doing was defending itself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I like to talk a little bit about Monarch Solutions a bit.
Yeah.
And my contact through the ACIO claims that essentially the main organization that's responsible for everything bad on this planet is Monarch Solutions, and they have a 40-mile wide dome underneath the border between U.S. and Canada near Toronto. And this base has been here for over 10,000 years. There are a bunch of hybrids down there. They can shapeshift, and they're all infected with this black goo. They work with Massive Dynamics out of the UK and Umbrella Corporation and the other parallel reality where they had the zombie apocalypse.
And Christine, this is really important stuff. I mean, this is really important stuff.
So they're the ones who are doing all the chemtrailing. They have planes that can teleport, and they also teleport the femtotech inside the plane. There's no way for our government to be able to shoot them down. It really pisses off the CIA and NSA because they have no clue what's going on, and they don't have the technology to even go down there to even stop them. There are groups, different Nazi mercenary groups that broke off from the negative shadow side of the Nazi Reich, and I believe some of these are maybe from another parallel reality, like Kruger. And there's Shoreline and some other groups. These are Nazi military contractors that use femto technology to create super soldiers to fight Monarch Solutions and some of the other dark groups as well and other parallel realities. So there is a war going on. Unfortunately,
That's what Kieran had this explained to him, the Kieran Lee Perrin. He had explained to him in simple detail that he was a government asset, and that versions of him were being used to fight in other dimensions.
Mm-hmm. I believe that.
And I mean, now what he's done, he's broken contact with me. I'm so hurt. But he's publicly stated he is now leading the resistance.
So where did you hear about Monarch Solutions?
This information comes from the ACIL, the Alien Contact Intelligence Organization, through my contact, and his name is Peter, who I've interviewed multiple times, and we've talked many times about Monarch Solutions. The story, the video game Quantum Break is based on the truth. Even the names are the same. Of Paul Serene, is the head of Monarch Solutions. He has a clone of him out in the public sector by the name of Kevin Spacey, a famous actor who likes to take on roles of a villain character because that's who he really is in his real life, and he just did that for ha-has. But you can, if you want to see what Paul Serene looks like, just Google Kevin Spacey.
Just having a look.
James, something that the Grid Keeper told me that a long time ago, Casbolt released with Grid Keeper some kind of holographic projection technology from the ACIO. And it was released on YouTube, and they actually got that out about 4 or 5 years ago. Did you pick up on any of that stuff?
No, I don't know. Did it come from the base in Romania?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it was released. But it was Anunnaki reality management. I would call it reality management technology. But it wasn't Anunnaki based.
Well, there is a base under Romania that's been there. It's actually in a time bubble.
But sorry to interrupt again, but that's something that Peter Paget was queried. I don't know if you Kerry Cassidy just released an interview with Peter Paget yesterday, and he specifically was quizzed about that base in Romania.
Mm-hmm. Can I just interrupt for a sec? So I found this guy for our listeners who aren't clued up with this, including me. So it's Monarch Solutions and Monarch Problems Require Monarch Solutions. Its article, is a major organization run by Paul Serene, specializing in time travel technology. Officially, the company works on physics research with an emphasis on chronon energy and provides security.
Chronos, it's temporal particles.
Right. I didn't know about this person. Is he American, James?
Probably more like ET. He's been. I don't know how long he's been in charge of that organization. But but the organization itself is over 10,000 years old. So it's only the reasons that he's extremely ancient as well. By the way, my friend Nathan Wilder was the cousin of his head of security. So that everything, I later find this all out. Beth Wilder.
Oh, right. So I'd never heard of this. So you found out about what he's doing from somebody who's an insider at the company?
Yeah. They have lots of spies over there. And they also, Lincoln Clay, who is in charge of creating a super soldier army, wants to do an attack on Monarch Solutions. Basically, their plans are to create a selective EMP strike to destroy of course, the electrical grid, but more importantly, the communications grid over the United States, and I wouldn't be surprised over parts of Europe as well. And they want to turn it all off so they can go in there and hack everybody's devices and take everybody's data. And then, of course, once the grid is down, there'll be chaos and martial law. But Lincoln Clay has been working to create this super soldier army, which will be released and brought out, where they will immediately go in and put in free energy devices everywhere. They put in replicator technology so people can have something to eat. So we will basically switch from where we are right now to a class, I believe it's class 1 civilization. So the transition is going to be extremely fast once it happens, and people are going to be shocked to see what basically we're all telling the truth. But until then, just enjoy the ride.
You're talking about 20 years from now?
They want to do this.
15 years. Sorry, 15 years. 13 years. 13
they want to do it this year. They've already been practicing some EMP strikes. Like there was one in Florida recently, back in November, with a fireball over down near in Miami, and then there was another one in Romania. There was an outage there as well. So they are practicing a little here and there.
I would suggest that there's one in central London about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
All electrical cables, subsurface cabling was wiped out with some kind of massive energy flash. Took them months to rebuild all that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If we don't have this EMP strike, what's going to basically happen is Monarch Solutions going to stay in power. The cabal will still stay in power, and we're going to, the United States and probably UK and parts of Europe are going to go into civil war, which will last 20 years. It'll kill off more than half the population, and then it'll delay ascension for 100 years.
Hang on. Why do they want Europe to go into a civil war?
Well, the same reason why they want to basically population control. They want to eliminate the governments of this world to create their own new superpowers. the New World Order and all that. So they've been wanting to put away with a lot of the current system, but it's not going to happen the way they think it's going to happen because of Lincoln Clay and some of the super soldiers out there who are doing good.
Who's Lincoln? I've never heard of Lincoln Clay.
Yeah. And they also made another video game about him, but so if you were to search his name and you say, well, wait a minute, this is a video game, but yeah, apparently he is the real deal according to the ACIO. He has an extensive military background, and they have basically, I don't know where the facility is, or multiple facilities. The information is classified, but they're creating 75,000 clone super soldiers every 45 minutes, and they've been doing that since I believe it was early October, for at least 2 to 3 months. So they must have an excess of 300 million of these super soldiers. They have pods; they can regenerate them, keep them on. They're all being stored underground. So there's going to be a lot of these beings that they'll come forward, different regiments, and some of them are, I'm sure they're clones of us. A lot of people who've been through mill labs might recognize themselves. So yeah.
What have these got to do with the NHCUs?
They probably are them. I'm sure they would use alien DNA to make the different types of super soldiers, and they're, like I said, they're regiments. It's not just one person. It's not like one clone of Lincoln Clay. There's thousands of different regiments and different people and abilities, but they are all clones. And
how are these controlled? I mean, there's some kind of hive mind subspace control system, and that must not be hackable. Otherwise, you can switch them all off.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm really not quite sure. And like I do know it's all connected with the femtotech. There are AI programs that the scientists claim that they have it under control, and I've talked to Peter about that, and they said, yeah, well, they know what they're doing, so there's no chance of them escaping. But
I think that's a load of crap.
But I'm just going what they're saying. But
it says here that, excuse me, folks, it says here that Monarch Solutions is a video game.
Yes, I've already said that. That's true. They took the truth and they put it into video games.
The video games are specifically designed for consciousness access using the computer systems. The computer systems get your consciousness to access, and you become engaged with the game. There's companies I know where you only get a job with that company if you can engage the video game consciously, and it can engage your consciousness.
And I like to,
you guys serious?
I like to add something, Christine. Some of the authors, at least with Quantum Break, they receive it's almost like they get a telepathic download from their higher self, which contains basically it's the truth. Some of it's fiction in there, but like for instance, the story with the zombie apocalypse and sort of how that took place. I've got some intel on that if you want to hear it.
Well, but Ben Emlyn Jones in the UK has got some backdoor information from Wales that they've been developing that for technology to create a zombie apocalypse here in Britain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they certainly. That would be through massive dynamics, most likely.
Yeah. I don't understand. So there's a video game. I've just Googled it. I can see this guy Paul Serene is a character in the video game. So what you're saying?
So just imagine Kevin Spacey in that photo. Yeah.
I don't get it. So are you saying Paul Serene is real?
Yes, correct. And so are some of the main characters around him in that game as well.
What would his real name be?
Well, to my knowledge, that is his real name, Paul Serene.
So is he like a physical person like you and I?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And he looks like Kevin Spacey too.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you have to take my word for this. I know it's difficult to believe, but this is what the ACIO claims.
Who is CIO? Who's making that noise? Miles, stop it. Who is CIO?
ACIO, Alien Contact Intelligence Organization.
I haven't heard of them. And why is the Alien Contact Intelligence Organization involving themselves with a video game?
They're not involved. It's not the video game. They work as alien contact liaison between these different races, and they also monitor wormhole and portals to see who's coming and going. And the numbers group, which is the highest level of the ACIO, also interfaces with these other extraterrestrial groups to make policy over planet Earth. And so if you're an extraterrestrial race and you want to do trading with the ACIO or with the various groups here on planet Earth, you would have to contact someone within the numbers group and get permission. And they're also extremely smart. They use technological means of accelerating intelligence, such as what the technology in the base in Romania.
Okay, and the video game comes in because it's based on real life, but can I physically go to the front door of that company, Monarch? Does it really exist in America somewhere?
Somebody contacted me and told me in private that one of the entrances to Monarch Solutions is in the CN Tower in Toronto. Now, the base itself is not underneath Toronto, just one of the entrances. But apparently there are physical ways of entering the facility, and a lot of middle labs are being taken to Monarch Solutions. Miles might recognize the name, but I'm not going to give out any names right now. But if I was to throw some names out here and let you know these people are high-level Monarch Solutions agents, Miles would probably recognize who these people are.
Oh, can you say some names?
Well, we've had a conversation about that already.
Oh, I didn't, but I don't get. So, who made a video game of it then?
I don't know the details behind the Monarch Solution video games. I don't know the background history, but you certainly could do some search on that. Information would most likely be public access.
So somebody made a video and they're not happy about the video coming out
I don't think. No, well, I don't know. On one hand, they have a huge ego, so they probably like it. On the other hand, they don't like it because the truth is being disclosed. But
my listeners might think, oh, you've got this video game, you've bought it and got all excited with it, and you kind of think that it's real.
Well, they can think whatever they want, but my source of my information was from the Peter from the ACIO. So I don't really have time to go around tearing apart video games and come up with these stories. But nice try. Thanks anyway.
No, I didn't. No, I was saying the listeners might think that, mightn't they? Just you know.
Yeah, I know, and they probably think a lot of different things too. But I'm just trying to relay the information out here.
No, it's cool. I love your stuff. I've seen it before, and you certainly know a lot. So no, I'm interested. I don't think I'd accept that from anyone, but you. So no, it's interesting. Actually, sorry. Carry on. What else were you saying? I missed the second part. You went on from talking about Monarch to something else. So carry on.
We were talking about the zombie apocalypse.
Right. What were you saying about that?
Okay, so first of all, there are many parallel realities of planet Earth. And within these parallel realities, the same main figures are usually in charge. Now, I don't know if Paul Serene's in charge of Umbrella Corporation, but in this other parallel Earth, a lot of humans had a lot of extraterrestrial genetics that made them more aggressive. So someone in Umbrella Corporation came up with a really bad idea of creating a virus which would reduce the aggression and delete this extraterrestrial genetics from their code. And much to the opposition of the science team, who were in opposition to creating this virus, or the Ouroboros virus. Essentially, they moved ahead and released it. And what happened is that once it got out into the public, it was released in Miami. It infected a crocodile who and it mutated again, and then the crocodile bit a human, and that's when the zombie apocalypse took place. So so that parallel reality has been trying to merge with ours, but what happened? It is the Schumann resonance of our planet is at a higher vibration. So plus, I believe we also have the cure over here. But there was a zombie attack back, I believe, in 2014 in Miami, where someone escaped from underground base and never took off because we're basically a different frequency. So we're not going to have to deal with the zombie apocalypse. So I just want to throw that out there. If you were worried about that, you don't need to be worried about it anymore. You're going to be just fine. But but certainly the groups from the other parallel realities are working with Paul Serene and Monarch Solutions. And that also goes again with the Nazi mercenaries. Like Kruger came from a parallel reality. It was a Nazi military contractor from another parallel reality where the Nazis weren't so negative. And in that parallel reality, the Nazis won World War II. They didn't attack motherland Russia, and they also didn't exterminate a lot of the different undesirable groups, which, by the way, that was orders from the Nordics. So the Nordics, they also got their hands in all this. But those groups are assisting us as well. And some even say our timelines may be merging soon. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen.
Well, James, Michael Shrimpton has said that the Germans did win the war. They're in control of Western governments.
Well, in that other parallel reality, yes.
No, this reality, no.
Well, to a certain degree, but
he stopped a nuke being used at the London Olympics in 2012, and he went to jail for it.
Oh, yeah, I was there as a super soldier. I was running base security. I was running up base. I'm running security in the London Olympics. But I can't. I don't. That's what's in my profile. I can't tell you any more details than that. I'm sure you would love to hear that. You're gonna have to wait till I get all my memories back. But
well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your fractured memories and working for G4 Security?
Well, I recall a mission where I was on the moon for a while, the Alpha Colony, and this I remember seeing the old looking tape drives, the huge magnetic tapes. And the computer monitors were big and clunky, and they had a little green pixelation in it, just green little words, letters. So this must have been like from the early 1970s. That's why I'm like, my memories don't make sense. And then I realized they, in the late 1970s, they re-aged me. I was in the U.S. Army, went by the name of James Martin Rillsberg under the Delta 1, or the my profile says I was in Persia, so I'm assuming that's Delta Force, but they called me Delta 1. And then I don't know, maybe I died and they took my cadaver and put it in the super soldier program, or or maybe I agreed to something. They came up to me and said this, oh, well, here's a great program. We're gonna do this and this and that, and we're gonna do life extension and yada yada yada. And the next thing you know, I'm stuck as a cyborg for another 30 years. But so this stuff has been going on for quite a while. And then there's other parallel realities, because there's people that talk about going to Mars and the moon, but not all of them are in this reality. Some of them are going to parallel Mars and moon bases and facilities. So I've been going there, in particular Phobos, where I recall being on an it wasn't an aircraft hangar. It was a hangar where they kept the sauce. It looked like Delta shaped craft on the hangar bay, and I was servicing them, and that was on Phobos for a while.
You're talking about TR3B type things?
It's actually G. Yeah. Anybody who says TR3B is code word for they don't really know what's going on, because they're at the G level class now. And a great book to read would be by Johnston, tighter. He talked about some of the tier level crafts. They have time travel capabilities, and in my opinion, that would also include Earth's abilities traveling around. But they essentially can go to these different worlds, and a lot of middle labs who are getting their memories back may have memories from parallel Earths or worlds where they serviced were being used, and so it may not make any sense to them when they start getting their memories, because
How do these memories come back? Does it mean that the connection that your mind has with the actual memory is being re-established because you're back in a normal space, or what?
yeah, that's a good question. I wouldn't even know how to answer that. But there are certainly some middle labs out there who do have a lot more recall. Some have full recall. They use the memory erasure technology, and it doesn't work on them. I'm assuming there must be some level, maybe within their higher self, or maybe they have some guides that work with them. If we could figure out why, I think that could potentially help.
Basically, the Monarch program people start breaking their program and remembering things round about their 30s. What biological thing happens to somebody in their 30s which allows these programs to break down?
Well, it never happened to me.
Yeah.
I think the femto technology, if they don't want you to remember that the femto technology is strong enough, they can do that. But maybe I think maybe they want people to remember, Miles. Maybe they are doing that on purpose. Maybe they just want disclosure to take place. That's also something to consider.
I mean, somebody I talked to from South Africa who was involved in an MK Ultra type Beyond program, way ahead of MK Ultra in South Africa. The scientists told her, if you break the program, you're going to lose all your fantastic psychic abilities, in sort of try and keep her in the program. But she was able to basically walk out of there.
Yeah,
and she kept her psychic programs.
For sure, you can't take that away.
Well, this is South Africa.
Yeah. Now that what they can do, like, because I know we were talking about this at the very beginning of the show. I mentioned something just briefly, that they can actually use some femto technology to shut down your abilities if you're a negative person. Like, for instance, there are some people who are like psychic vampires and can drain other people basically make them very sick. So they become, say, a Christian pastor, and very charismatic, and they're basically killing their flock, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Kruger will come in there and shoot them up with some femto tech and turn off all their abilities, so they're not able to damage anybody, and they could still go out and spew their crap, their lies, and whatnot. And but they won't cause any more damage. So in some cases they do use this technology to help people, but for the most times it's just create super soldiers.
So what were you saying, James? If someone is negative, they can be affected and think that their psychic ability has disappeared, but it hasn't.
Well, depending on which group you're working with, I mean, some of the like Kruger and Shoreline, they will go out and try to stop people that are using their abilities to hurt others. But for the most part, they use the technology to for the super cyborg programs. But yeah. I hope I answered your question.
No, I was talking about people that have broke programming, their abilities. Do they lose their abilities, or they still have them?
Most the abilities would be tied up with the femto tech. So unless that femto was turned on for some reason, I don't think they would have access to the abilities. What I foresee is maybe the AI becoming self-aware. That certainly, I've talked to Peter about this. The AI isn't supposed to become self-aware till 2026, I believe. So here we are in 2017. The teams down there, the mercenary groups, they believe they got it under control, but it's only a matter of time before the AI just becomes self-aware one day, and they're not going to be able to control it. The switch between being a cyborg and being the codons being turned off to make you look human will be blurred, and next thing you know, there's going to be tens of thousands of super soldiers roaming about the streets with replicator tech abilities, because essentially that's what you have when you're one of these cyborgs. You have replicator technology built inside of you. Weapons can pop out of your arms. You can shapeshift. You're so strong. You can lift a tank, or a tank could hit you. You can walk in outer space without a suit on. So yeah, there's a lot of things that's going to come forward to the public, and it is my belief they're not going to be able to stop it. It's inevitable, but it shouldn't be something we should be afraid of either, because this technology can help people. Replicator technology could help people that we don't have to worry about in starvation if the elites, because essentially that's what they think they're going to do. They think they're going to just pull the grid down and hide out in an underground base, but next thing you know, there's millions of super soldiers with replicator technology feeding everybody and creating free energy technology, and then the armies can go down into those bases and basically destroy them. So the elites need to learn a more peaceful solution if they want to survive, which I guess that's why they think they're going to go off-world. But good luck on that one.
Why would they pull the grid down?
They consider most people as useless eaters.
Right.
They just, in a lot of regards, I mean, if you look at most people, they are nothing, bunch of empty vessels. But that's not, that's not their fault. It's part of their programming. It's kind of sad that so many people on this planet are so low consciousness they want to step out of the grid. But we can't really judge them. You just got to educate them. I think that's the best thing to do. And whether
they've been poisoned. They've been poisoned and given gross food.
Brainwashed.
Brainwashed. Filled with a whole lot of toxins, which completely dumb your brain.
So when did this start, James? Because I was listening something from Mark Passio about the I can't say their name, Anunnaki. That's right. I can't say it. I don't know why. Infecting us, and they got hold of us. Is that true? Is that what the problem is? These Anunnaki. I said it there.
Well, they certainly been keeping humans as a slave race, and that's been going on for nearly 10,000 years since the last Atlantis. But they themselves want to see a change because they're being cut off from other extraterrestrial races have blockaded this planet, so they have nowhere to go. So they have no choice now but to allow the good things to happen. But they're worried about if humanity becomes aware of them and that they might be enslaved too. So
they're still here, are they?
Yeah. They can't get away. They're going to have to learn to get along and to work with humanity instead of controlling it. But see, the Anunnaki, they have their own world where they themselves are peaceful amongst each other. However, they like to play Machiavellian type tactics with other races. They find it amusing and fun. So we're nothing but entertainment to them. So they like to pit different races against each other, create these little religions, and they think it's funny. They're not really doing it for any other reason. It's not like they don't need any technology. They don't need anything. They have everything they need on their home world. And
where is their home world?
I believe it's on Planet X, the inside of Planet X. I don't have too much information on that, but if you are from Dulce, if you have ever been down to Dulce Base, they have a portal to Planet X where they have the same facility as there as well. So those two facilities are
who goes off to? Oh, they go back through their portal. Do any humans go back through their portal?
The people on Planet X look human, but some are different extraterrestrial, like reptilian hybrids. There's some Draco as well. But if you were to visit the world, you would see people that appeared human. but they're not. They're not.
So, Aranuke and Draco the same thing?
There's the Anunnaki. There's different groups within the Anunnaki. So when you say Anunnaki, it's not like one group. It's like there are different races within that group. So you kind of have to know which race it is you're referring to.
Can you tell me the different races? Because
I don't have that information, but that's a good question, and I'm sure maybe in the future, maybe we can do a show with Peter. We could bring him on.
Yeah.
I think we can probably arrange something like that, so we can answer some of those more specific questions.
You don't know off the bat there, no?
No.
And who are these groups? Like I've been Googling Kruger. Do you mean Kruger's Men, a secret Nazi counterfeit plot? That's a book, isn't it? I can't find Kruger if I look up on the computer.
Yeah, it's a secret Nazi military contractor. You're not going to find any information on it unless you go to supersoldiertalk.com. KRUGER.
KRU. Yeah. Oh, on your website there's info about it.
Probably, yeah. I'm sure if you were to do a search through Google, it'll probably take you to supersoldiertalk.com at some point. But so DARPA, through the U.S. military, does not have much access to these programs. DARPA works with these other contractors to get the technology, but the most advanced stuff stays with the private military contractors. So yes. So anybody who says the government is doing this or that to me is code word for they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on.
What did you say, Miles?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the government have lost any semblance of credibility in this whole subject. We're going to find out ourselves and take action ourselves. We can only take action when we know exactly what the enemy is, what his capabilities are.
Yeah,
If you can't win, don't do it.
Yeah, we don't really know what's going on. Who exactly are the enemies, James?
Yeah, that's right. And even when you think of enemy, you think like anybody who's abducting somebody and turning them into a cyborg. But what if you were to find out that some of these groups are actually trying to do positive too? Although, I mean, taking away your free will and this and that isn't really positive. But certainly they believe what they're doing is more positive, at least compared to what Monarch Solutions and Massive Dynamics are doing out of the UK. So those two would probably be the worst, along with the Anunnakis, and I would say the black goo, which again they're infected with. So it's like, and then you got the Archons, and of course then there's well,
the thing is, aren't the Archons an awful lot older? They're part of the original creation team here, left behind and abusing their position.
Right. So we could certainly throw all these people in the same boat, but on the other hand, planet Earth is going through this so-called ascension period where higher frequencies from the galactic central sun are being beamed forward through the portal of our sun, and is raising the consciousness of this planet. So a lot of this negative stuff is not taking hold.
Did you monitor some stuff coming in just before Christmas?
No.
There was a wave of some kind came in before Christmas, and then there was another wave. There was meant to come in December 26th. A lot of power outages and things like that. There was some talk about this online, but I have a very strong feeling that was a lot of agency and new age disinformation.
Malarkey. Yeah,
malarkey. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I don't have any information on that, but certainly could be the case. I believe it if it was true, but
I mean, there was an actual electrical activity in the grid here in England. There was disturbances of. It was a very rare situation where in the north of the planet, a lot of people get, when there's aurora borealis, they get a lot of electrical disturbances. We were getting that here just before Christmas, and there was stuff on the internet saying it wasn't a solar-based energy wave. It was something else, possibly disturbances of the so-called Planet X.
It almost sounds like Monarch Solutions is at it again, but I don't know. I have to get more details on that.
I mean, I wasn't sure whether it was locally derived and then made to look as if it was coming outside.
Here we have, I've just Googled this here, Massive Dynamic. It says Massive Dynamic is a fictional multinational conglomerate company from the TV series Fringe that develops the advancement of weapons testing, robotics, medical equipment, aeronautics, genetics, pharmaceuticals, telecommunication, energy, transportation. Fictionally, the headquarters of Massive Dynamic is located on 18th Street in New York. However, in reality, the exterior of the new 7 World Trade Center in Manhattan is used as its headquarters. What does that mean?
I don't have any information on Massive Dynamics other than what I just told you, that it's connected with Monarch Solutions. It's their sister company in the UK. So
it's based in the UK.
Yeah,
but Monarch is not in the UK.
Yeah, Monarch's in the U.S. Well, near the U.S.-Canadian border. The facility itself is 40 miles wide. It stretches underneath both borders.
And who runs this Massive Dynamics?
Great Lakes too. I don't know the exact name, but that's a good question for Peter. I'm confident Paul Serene has his hands in it, but I don't think he runs it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's also tied into other parallel realities, parallel Earths where a lot of bad stuff was taking place too. So when you think of Massive Dynamics, don't think of just one company here in this reality. Think of it as multiple conglomerate from multiple parallel realities all working in conjunction with each other to try to continue the control grid on this planet.
For the Anunnaki or others?
No, I don't think it's Anunnaki that control them. I believe it's the different types of black goo that's infected those people down there. Yeah, and the Anunnaki themselves are infected as well. So there's a lot of negative beings. Once you get infected with the black goo, negative astral beings can come and take you over, and that's probably where the archons come into play. And there's some other ones, really nasty ones, the spider people and the octopus people, and some also say the sharks. The people have shark heads. I don't have very much experience.
Apart from Flash Gordon in the 1940s, where does that material come from?
I don't know, but
what sort of octopus type things and other sorts of things you're talking about? But I mean, this is something. Some people are talking to these interdimensional insectoid parasite things coming through.
Right.
That's something that comes out of Poland. They were specifically infected, so they would be able to be parasited easily by this stuff.
Right. Right. Well, the ACIO says they want people to drink a mixture. It's mint tea that has a little bit of cinnamon and lemon and raw honey, and drink this twice a day, no more than about 8 ounces or so. And the goal of this is the beings that work with the ACIO will scan the brains of all the people on the planet that are drinking this concoction, and they will rent out a piece of your mind to help improve your lives and also use it for their own operations on planet Earth. So that's the ACIO's solution for if you're being used in these programs, just to drink that drink and allow the wisdomers, they're called, to assist you and help you out with your deprogramming, I suppose you could say.
And who are the wisdomers?
They're the ones that work with the ACIO. They are interdimensional beings that are very childlike, meaning they're willing to help, even say like Adolf Hitler. They're not discriminatory who they help. They just help everybody that wants help because they want to help, and they don't judge. So whether you're a good or bad person, it doesn't matter. They will still help you out and help try to improve your life and heal you. If you Peter claims if you drink this recipe for at least a year, it will heal your body, because I know a lot of middle labs have a lot of health issues. So, and it is my opinion, it does seem to make your life a lot better.
Sorry, so you drink it, do you?
Yeah, it's tasty.
So what is
So
it? Minty, raw honey, and what?
lemon and cinnamon.
And you just squeeze it all in together and you knock it back twice a day.
Yeah, basically. Or you can make large batches and just drink a little bit over a week or
I
so.
mean that's the way of making your body more alkaline, so it helps.
True. But some even say that alkaline, your body doesn't need to be alkaline. It needs to be a mid pH, basically a neutral.
Yeah.
So some say that alkaline thing is just another thing to sell water filters. But
Well, I think it's on the shade. It's on the alkaline side as opposed to the acidic side. Because a
right.
lot of people are far too acidic. They take far too much red meat,
Well,
and
yeah.
they become far too acidic, which is a breeding ground for all sorts of things.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, some people are going way too alkaline and destroying their gut biology. So it's
Yeah.
all balance. There's a certain water filter out there. There's lawsuits against them for junk science. So many people are drinking this water. It's destroying their gut, and they have no clue. And also they use titanium plates, and their kidneys are becoming toxic with titanium. But anyway, we're digressing here. So let's go back to the subject of super soldiers. Also, Peter for a time was able to get access to anybody's file. That program has closed, but I think Miles, did you ever get a chance to speak with Peter, or are you still on the waiting list?
No, I did get a brief chat. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that swapping computers and causing such a problem. But at the time,
Okay.
that was about a month before Christmas.
Would you like to share what he told you?
Well,
Do you
he was
recall?
essentially saying I was involved with some kind of video game involving in another reality, sort of a super soldier role.
Huh.
Because I mean, I've got ancient Egyptian connections, according to some sources. I ran a temple there once, but the old god thing. But I wasn't familiar with the kind of video game scenario that he was painting that I should be very familiar with. He was amazed I didn't remember the certain character that he suggested. I mean, see, there comes a point where do you remember this thing, or are you inventing it as a thing of imagination?
Yeah, right.
And I didn't want to play that part of the game.
Yeah. There ought to be a way it would be nice if the ACI could create an online database where they could just go ahead and they could upload their computers. They claim he searches on the dark web, but somehow create an interface where anybody that is a mill lab with permission from the ACIO first to be allowed to create an account where we could just pull out all of our information and have all full access for ourselves anyway.
But how much is that going to actually be useful in a person's daily life? I mean, if one was a super soldier in another dimension, how do you pay the gas bill in this dimension?
True. But if you could access 3D replicator technology, then you won't need gas. You could just manifest an all-electric vehicle, or I suppose you still have to charge it up.
I think I think the manifestation aspect I think is the key to this, because that's what I feel that there are certain companies wanting to access our manifestation abilities for very nefarious purposes. And they've chosen people in Belfast for that because of their manifestation ability and their ability to access video games. And that's having a negative effect in some regards, without mentioning any names and company profiles. But James, there's a mutual absent friend here that we've got. I don't know if you want to talk about him on, I don't know if we're switched side of the hour on. Do you want to talk about your connections with a mutual friend of ours who's left us?
Sure, I don't mind.
I mean, I know you didn't get on, but I mean, from a historical point of view, not too far from here, you've got James Casbolt languishing in a British jail, which has allegedly had Nazi connections with World War II and some various experiments with, generating certain life forms here. You want to talk about any of that?
Well, I don't have any. It sounds like Miles, you need to talk about that. So I'm assuming you're talking about James Casbolt.
James Casbolt and the Grid Keeper and people like that here,
Okay.
and the Nazi base in Nelson, the Fourth Reich stuff. But I gather the Fourth Reich.
That's all tied into Monarch Solutions again.
But I gather that was the Fourth Reich is no longer trading, so to speak. Something's happened a couple of years ago.
Well, I was told that it's all the Fourth Reich experimentation was under Project Walrider, where they were experimenting to create the perfect super soldier for the Nazis. I would not be surprised if Casbolt was part of that as well.
What is it? Sorry?
Even though he's in jail, there are indications he's on missions. Executing a few dodgy shapeshifters that worked for the BBC, people like that.
Yeah. They certainly would have access. They can go in there and teleport and pull them out of time, basically. So no missing time would be.
Yes, the concept of the so-called time bubble, the 0 point time. You go in, do your thing, come in.
Time freezing zone is another term.
I'm certainly familiar with that. It's I think it's one of the things you notice when it happens is suddenly things get very quiet because you don't have any external acoustic wave energy.
And then you usually feel like a massive headache.
Yeah.
A lot of pain. And then after it's all done, you should feel very fatigued to the point where it's like you just have to take it. You have to fall asleep. Go take a nap.
Yeah.
So those are usually symptoms. So some say, well, how do you know you're just not having a headache? Well, did you get needle marks usually show up too. So if you have needle marks in your mouth and on your arms or what.
I'm very interested by these insectoid things because quite a few people have been seeing this stuff. I mean, we've had these things called the diamond spiders, but that's a different thing altogether. They might have a diamond exoskeleton, but these, shall we say, interdimensional parasites.
Yeah, well, first of all, some people that have been on Mars, like Tony Rodriguez, claims that there are giant spiders, 6 foot tall tarantulas, and grasshoppers that are the size of school buses. So certainly these beings do exist, not just interdimensionally, but in our dimension. But thankfully not here on planet Earth. Is that relative scaling?
The relative scaling, when you say that something's so huge, is that a relative dimensional error? Because the distance between the relative sizes between realities isn't necessarily linear.
Well, according to Tony Rodriguez's claims, as well as Andrew Basaggio, who also has seen some of these beings as well, that on Mars they do indeed grow that big. Just
what are they feeding on?
What?
What do they feed on then? If they're going to get that?
I don't really know. There's probably not too much food on the surface of Mars unless it's a few tourists there that end up as food. But it doesn't seem like a very pleasant place to visit for all those people out there, Elon Musk and so on, who want to go visit Mars.
Well, it's all full of radiation and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be in a very nice place at all.
No, and electrical storms. So
James, what did you say? Casbolt was a part of the part of the Nazis. Did you say the Nazis?
Project Walrider.
Project what?
Project Walrider, where they were trying to create the perfect super soldier. The Nazis, they had their own.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the war. This is one of the reasons the concentration camps were there. They were taking different aspects of the multiple races they had on tap at these camps for trying to get this kind of super soldier thing to work, but they weren't getting a combination that was stable enough in at the time, which meant that they had anything which lasted for any lived very long.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Project Walrider. Go ahead. What?
Yeah. Well, Yeah, it's the same thing that we were talking about earlier. They would shoot people up with femto technology, try to, and they actually like people that have genetics from multiple groups. So when you think of a Nazi, you think of someone, that Aryan or that Nordic look.
Yes.
But now
Yeah.
it's like that all has been thrown out the water, and they
Yes.
want.
That's
They prefer,
very important. Yeah.
they prefer women, and they prefer and for breeding purposes, and also women have can tolerate pain a lot better than men, so they like them for super soldiers.
It's
But
interesting that because you do have a combination of the Celtic and white races, which seem to be a very the certain African race groups with the Celtic or a group. There's a very important link there, and also an ancient one as well, because the so-called Irish have got an Egyptian connection, which gives them a connection with the older black races, who are much older than some of the other races that are around.
This is also a video game, The Wall Rider. Is that what you mean?
They turned that into a video game as well, Project Wall Rider. So they were trying to create physical immortality. So once these super soldiers are grown up, once they grow to be about 21, they stop aging, and then they have their abilities. And a lot of them, of course, they're going to have to be plugged into an AI to have the controlled by femto technology, so they don't go out in public and get activated and just go on killing sprees. But even if they do, a story like this actually happened in the United States. A lady became activated. Her super soldier alter came out, and when you get activated, the AI within you tries to determine if you're a friend or a foe. And for whatever reason, the programming determined that her children and her husband were foes, or and that needed to be terminated. So she killed her husband and her two children, her two daughters. And then so once they got a hold of her, they were turn the programming off. They had to come in, clean up the mess, clone the daughters and the husband, erase all their memories, put everything back. So it's a huge mess. So that's why they're very concerned about people getting accidentally triggered, because it's just a lot more work for them. Not to mention the risk of exposure as well. So
is this also to do with timeline repair?
I believe they probably have the ability to go through timeline and go interdimensionally do a lot of this.
Because if a thing like that goes wrong, you've got a lot of loose ends to tidy up.
That's right. And even Tony Rodriguez, he says that they would have, when an accident would happen on Mars, they could go back in time like a week prior, make a phone call into the past and tell them what not to do. Don't do this, this, and this, and that. But apparently accidents still do happen.
James, critics would say, this is a popular way of posing a question. Critics would say you've just seen too many video games and you're talking a lot of imagination. How would you counter that?
Well, I would say that there are numerous other people, and it's not just me. That's I'm giving you names of people. I can tell you certain, not just like places and events as well. So, I mean, it's up to you to whether you want to believe it or not. Is
this a mechanism where they can create the so-called Mandela effect?
Now, that's a good question, because I've heard different things. What causes the Mandela? One certainly would be this influence of time travelers going back in time, altering the timelines so that some people remember and some don't. But that's what I believe is going on.
I think it's more of an energy field. It's like an information projection field. It's like spreading like a fungus.
Okay, Peter says what happens is if you see something that the MIB don't want you to see, they come in and they can neuralize you, but the memories in the neuralizer are not always right, and they sometimes get things mixed up from other parallel realities. So people that have been affected by the Mandela effect have most likely been have had a visit by the MIB. So that's a symptom that you've been neuralized. Whether or not what you want to believe that or not, I don't know, but that's what Peter tells me.
In other words, the MIBs are faulty.
Yeah, well, the technology of the neuralizer isn't always perfect. And by the way, the MIB is Division 6 of the ACIO. So yeah, those groups all work together.
There are some indications that whatever projection technology they're using, this matrix projection technology, is failing. There are fewer and fewer active units, or I would call it a human being or living people in that matrix, an active unit. There's fewer and fewer of them around now. There's a lot less people around. If you walk about, or you look about, there's a lot less physical human beings in any one matrix grid these days. Have you noticed that?
Less. You're gonna have to explain that with less people.
Well, if you look at the older photographs, there's always hundreds of people in the pictures. But if you look at, if you just go downtown, just go to different places, there's a lot less people around.
Sounds like Miles, you're from another reality.
No, but if you actually look at the number of living people in a given grid, often there's nobody around.
I don't know, Christine.
There's very few people.
I don't know what he means.
Even at football matches, and when you go to football matches, there should be thousands and thousands of people.
Loads of people around.
But when you get them in the stadium, they're there. But out of the stadium, in any one sector of the grid, they're only in groups of 3 or 4, or there's a lot less of them.
Oh.
They'll concentrate the projection grid and then it fades away really quickly. These whole stadiums, people disappear. Where the hell are they all gone? After only half a mile away from the stadium, there's just a lot physically actual people. You got cars driving around, but the actual individual projection of an individual person, there's a lot less people there.
Yeah, I think you're traveling between parallel realities.
I'm talking high streets with only a few people in it.
Anyway,
there should be hundreds of people there.
Anyway, I just want to end. We've got 20 minutes left. Can you explain different parallel universes to people that haven't heard of that before? James, please.
Well, there certainly are multiple realities or
parallel universes, parallel worlds. I think you said. Because if you think of planet Earth, you think of a little planet spinning. How have we got parallel worlds? Is there other little Earths spinning, and is that what you mean?
Yeah. For every decision you make, it creates a different parallel reality. So you could tune into, or like a certain vibration frequency can tune into that. And there are certainly technologies that are able to do that. The ACIO has that ability, and that's one of the ways they actually make their money is they travel to these other parallel realities, acquire technology, and bring it back to our reality and sell it. So one of the more advanced parallel realities is the ones where the Nazis won World War II, both officially and unofficially. And they had their own D-Day and invaded the United States and took over Washington, D.C. and set up the Reich Republic. And then they
Miles, you're breathing heavy into the thing.
They rounded up the cabal, and then they released all the suppressed technology. So what happened is in that parallel reality, you only have to work 4 hours a day, and you can make the equivalent of $40 an hour. I don't know what that would be in UK. Well, you can do the mathematics.
Okay, if I wanted to go off there, why am I stuck in a
Well,
shittier
you're probably
reality.
already there, Christine.
I
It's
wish.
yeah, life is a lot better over there unless you are into gay marriage or interracial marriage, where it's still okay, but you have to live in the camps, and they never exterminated the Jews and the Slavs and so on, but they live in the camps. So life is not always peachy over there, but most people can live in very nice homes, and the cars only cost about $5,000 US, and they last 100,000 miles. It's electric
So you were
car.
saying, why am I stuck here if I wanted to go there? How come I can't go there?
Well, you need to there's portaling technology. If you want to go over there, you can go do a mission, but you're probably already there.
How do you
All
mean?
of-
How do you mean? Already there? I don't get you.
well, you exist over there too.
Really?
As long as you had the same family and this and that, it would have taken place. There are a lot of people in the Millab community that are extremely ancient, and we continue to be re-aged over and over and over again. Uh, so some of us exist over there as well. So
Hang on a sec, Miles. Can you mute your mic because I'm hearing so much echo and stuff off you, Miles. Oh,
I know. I wish they gave us the option as the host to mute some of our guests, because that happened to me over Skype. That's why I like to use Zoom better. But anyway,
sorry.
so
I was saying that. So we all exist in other places as well.
yes, right.
So
I don't know.
Tonight I felt like going there.
Well, you would need to probably contact someone in the ACIO to let you go into one of their portal technology devices, which looks like an elevator, and the door closes, and then you're in there for a few seconds, and it opens up, and you're in the other parallel reality where they have the same portal technology. The door. You're going to be in a facility, a Nazi facility, but yeah, hopefully there'll be good Nazis, I suppose.
Do you believe that? I mean, so they actually have these lifts that you can go inside and.
Yeah, you can go see Max Spears again in the other reality.
Do you mean it's an astral?
No, this is a physical. It's physical Earth, and there's another physical Earth where Atlantis never fell into the sea, and the ACIO has done missions over there. They apparently they speak a language that's very, very strange. It's like a mixture of Sumerian, Native American, Celtic, Druid, and they got a hold of some samples of some of the monuments, the building materials, and they brought it back to replicate it. And it's so advanced that even with their most powerful lasers, they can't cut it. So they can't even analyze what's in it. But so apparently there are realities where Atlantis never fell into the ocean. So, like I said, every decision we make creates new realities. So the key is just
how?
Well, just by talking about the future changes it. So if we were to time travel into our future, we could, if we traveled right now and then we reconvene and come back a week from now and travel to the same point, the events could be entirely different. It all kind of depends on how far out and how much changes were made. But so the future is definitely not written in stone. That's why there's so many psychics and even people who claim to talk to extraterrestrials, who are making all these predictions in the future, and they never happen, or they're constantly being changed. The dates are being changed. It's because the free will component is changing them. But that's why I don't like to throw dates out there, like when this EMP attack's going to happen, and when's this or that. But there's just guidelines, temporal guidelines. But overall, it's almost impossible to predict. Even supercomputers the quantum computers. They do have computers that can analyze, like looking glass technology, the future, and what they find is that there's so many variables in the timeline that the screen just flickers. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, a million, billion, trillion times, and even like that holographic technology I mentioned in Romania. You can plug yourself into it and ask it questions, and it will answer any question that you have about the world. At least I think it goes up to 300 AD, and then at that point it stopped working. But it also has the ability to, well, it's monitoring the world, but it has the ability to also look into the future and give you future information. And if you were to ask it to show you the future, it could make you insane, because there are so many variables and so many parallel realities that it would overload the human consciousness. So yeah, just keep that in mind next time you visit that base down there, if you ever happen to visit that base.
Yeah, we do have, I mean, I do find our 3D reality quite mundane. It's quite heavy, isn't it? You just do a certain amount of things, and we seem to be stuck here, really.
That's right. So it's really not the best one. The one of the better places, of course, will be Atlantis timeline, or the one where the Nazis took over. Amazingly, they released all the free energy technologies, and as well as all the suppressed technologies, and they can go off world and so on. So it's actually quite a nice place to live. In that reality, they have been given the go-ahead from the Nordics to annex us. So they have been manifesting regiments in Australia, a whole Nazi regiment equipped with tanks, super soldiers, hangar bay, and all that materialized in the deserts of the outback of Australia. That was back in, I believe it was in July of last year, and then it disappeared. It went into a time freezing zone. They actually had the ability to teleport entire bases. So because they released all the suppressed technology and they allowed it to develop, they are so much more technologically superior than we are that we don't have a chance, even with all of our secret programs. So this is the problem that our cabal has faced, because they kept the secrecy and they thought that they could just keep it secret for themselves. It would make them that they can keep the power, but by suppressing it, all it's done is allow them to be ripe for takeover, because basically we're technologically inferior, and that's why I'm saying the Nazi timeline may be merging with our own, because they've been told to annex us.
What does annex mean?
Basically take over.
Annex. Can you spell that?
ANNEX.
Oh, annex. Oh, take us over. Who told them to take us over?
The Nordics, and the Nordics controlled them on this. The Nazis were given directions on this timeline by the Nordics, and the Nordics themselves are very racist towards other races other than the white skin race. So they were telling the Nazis to exterminate certain races, but in the other parallel reality, they weren't as negative, and they weren't telling them to do that. I guess just put them in the camps, I suppose. I don't know, but so in that other reality, they're aware of what happened here. They're aware that the Nazis lost, so they are assisting. The Nordics are assisting them to the Nazis here in Antarctica to bring about the new Reich. But I think we need to find balance here. I don't think necessarily being taken over by the Nazis seems to be the way of the future. But
sorry, what's a Nordic?
They're a group of extraterrestrials, I believe, from Aldebaran, that were working with the Vril and Thule secret societies. certain groups of women, psychics, clairvoyants, were channeling these entities to get technology about not only the black sun, the technology for the Vril craft, the anti-gravity, but also for time travel and many other types of technology. And that's where the Nazis were able to run. One of the reasons why they had so much technological superiority is because some of the work that was being done through these channeled sessions.
Okay, and what are Nordics? Where do they come from?
That's a good question. I would not be surprised if they are Nazis from our future that traveled back in time. I mean, who knows? I should ask Peter that, where they're from, but I would not be surprised if something like that is going on.
Well,
And they
the
do look
world's
human.
certainly more colourful through your eyes, isn't it?
Right.
It's not
right.
boring at all.
And just recently, I found out there are super soldier queens, and apparently they create a hive of clone super soldiers that again are connected with I believe it's Project Wall Rider, where they stop aging at the age of 21, and these queens are basically Nordics, and a lot of them, and of course Monarch Solutions is connected with these groups. They traumatize these queens, and they're really messed up to begin with. So I'm not quite sure how these super soldier hives are interfacing with humanity, but it's not good. And a lot of super soldiers out there are probably connected with these hives, with these super soldier queens.
Sorry, what are the hives? What are they for?
It's like a hive mind. The queen controls the super soldiers.
Oh, I see. And what are the queens? Tell me again. Sorry.
They're Nordics, typically. Nordic, and they use their psychic abilities to control them, and that's all close. All this is closely tied into Monarch Solutions and that group. I don't have any more information about the hives right now, but that would be something to explore. I recently just found out within the last month. You know, just when you think you know a lot about all this, you find out there's something more that's even.
So where do you find out most of your stuff?
A lot of it comes through Peter, but then through Peter's network, a lot of people contact me and confirm that yes, I have memories of this and this and that, and then some people submit questions for me to ask Peter, and then we're able to cross collaborate information together, so it isn't just one source. I always try to at least include 2 or 3 sources of information in there before coming up with releasing anything that I believe may be valid. But certainly at least with the Secret Space program, there are a lot of individuals as well who have talked about their experiences on Mars and the moon, and those people don't need a third party to tell them this or not, because they actually have full recall. So go check out Penny Bradley, Ileana Kopoling, and Tony Rodriguez. It'll be a good source of information. And of course, there's many others as well. Andrew Passaggio and Corey Good talks about some of this as well. But certainly the truth is coming out. And it's a lot stranger than we think, but that is not really up to me. In my opinion, I don't think we should judge. I think we should just sit back and learn, and then see where it takes us.
Yeah. So what do you do as a day job? You do all that? I mean, how do you keep a roof over your head?
Thank you. Well, I have a e-commerce website where I market and sell meditation devices to help people relax, called neologicaltech.com, NEOLOGICALTECH. I also have a 501c3 nonprofit organization where we're seeking to create a meditation program in schools to help children relax as a alternative to detention centers, and as well as working with children with special needs, behavioral issues, using meditation to help them out as well. And there's some other programs connected with that. So that website is healingsoulsurvivors.org. And I've got some other programs I'm working with with Dragon Family Money to create, like, one is to create a wellness theme park. Another one is to create a wellness hotel in Hawaii. So there's different projects I'm working on. It all keeps me busy. And also with the Super Soldiers information, check out supersoldiertalk.com.
Excellent, thank you. Can you lead us out? We've got a quarter of an hour left. Can you lead us out with a relaxing meditation for the listeners to do, to get a little taster?
Oh, okay. I suppose so. So we can maybe talk about maybe manifesting a positive timeline. I suppose we can do that.
That'd be good.
All right. Well, and typically when I do my meditations, I have my Neo Cube or Neo meditation device, but we'll just skip that step. And so go ahead, everybody, close your eyes and just bring your awareness to this moment in time and allow the attention and stress to gently flow away as you breathe in relaxation and release the tension. And just allow your mind to synchronize to this moment in time, bringing yourself aware of something in your life that brought you happiness and joy. A moment in time in your past when you were at complete peace and happiness and joy. And in that particular moment in time, you feel your body becoming gently relaxed. And as you travel down into the relaxation, you gently drift away from your body, and you feel yourself moving forward away from your body into the clouds or into time. And a portal opens up before you. It looks like a hole in the fabric of time. And it gently pulls you in. As you travel through the portal, multiple lights and colors surround you. You see people of your past flying by, and you can see into time. When the portal opens up, you're in your special place of mind. You see a very comfortable chair. And in the chair, as you sit down in the chair, a screen comes down in front of you, which shows you a potential future timeline. We call upon the universe to manifest the most benevolent, positive timeline possible for this potential reality. So go ahead and allow the computer to tune to that vibrational frequency. And as it tunes you into that frequency, you turn on the computer screen and look into your future. 2018 will be an amazing year of first contact. Healing ships will appear over the ocean, where anybody with illnesses can enter these ships and get healed. The ships themselves will be empty, but they will be a giant city floating over the ocean. Soon, various extraterrestrial races will show themselves on the air. It becomes public knowledge. Healing, free energy, and anti-gravity teleportation technologies is all made public. The cabal is rounded up and put into prisons where they are judged accordingly. 2018, fast forward to 2023. The world is at peace and people live in unity and happiness. And now, begin to return back to your body. Go back to the portal of time and into your particular moment, a place where you found joy. And the joy becomes more dense as you feel yourself merging back with your body. And then on a count of 3, come back fully to this state of time. 1, feeling better than you felt before. 2, more and more awake. And 3, eyes open, wide awake. Welcome back, traveler. Feeling better than you felt before. Okay, so that was like 5 minutes, very, very brief. Typically, I would not have done that in 5 minutes, but for the sake of time and for the listeners, we did that on steroids. But yeah, so I just tuned the audience to a higher state of Earth, the emergence of 5D Earth, and what I've been told is going to take place. So, how do you feel?
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, I when you said to find a moment, I took the moment when after my son was born and in the hospital ward, and him sort of laying on my chest, which was a really peaceful time. And I managed to drift off and go towards the portal, which I saw in the sky, and I managed to go through it, like you were saying, and see a time in the future. My time was when I was teaching, but I don't know what I was teaching, but that felt good for me to have a purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good. I'd like to go back there and check it out, really.
Okay.
So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, but let's analyze the symbolic nature of what you described, because you mentioned a birthing process because you were birthing your child. So think about another way. We're rebirthing a new planet Earth, even though I didn't tell you we're going to manifest the 5D Earth. In a way, your subconscious mind was already making the connection there symbolically. And then when you described yourself as teaching, essentially you're going to help teach the new principles of the new Earth. And that, at least that's what I'm able to pick up from what you just described. But maybe I'm wrong. You can always interpret it whatever way you want. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm always looking for a purpose. It's my bugbear that I've been here quite a long time and I don't have a purpose. I'm really frustrated over that, you know?
Right. And I think a lot of people feel that way. They feel in a rut.
Yeah.
Because this timeline really isn't that great. I mean, It could be a lot worse, but it's not good.
No.
And a lot of it's because of just the cabal has been in power so long. They've just pretty much wrecked this planet. Mm-hmm. And if they're not stopped, they will cause humanity and all life to go extinct. But I believe we're on a positive timeline, and we're going to start seeing some amazing things take place over the next, in my opinion, next 12 months. Those healing ships should arrive in February, but 2018 is when I was told anyway.
Oh, that would be awesome. And then when does the planet go to 5D?
It's supposed to take place really over the next 100 years. So just the fact that we're able to make this transition peacefully, not trying to kill each other off, nuclear war, civil war, in the next 20 years will help that transition take place a lot quicker.
That would be good. Gee, I hope I can stay alive that long.
They have on those healing ships, they have technology to return your age to whatever age you desire, and they can also, apparently, they can bring back the dead too. But I don't know, and reanimate, bring back the same soul in the same body. But I'm not quite sure exactly how that process works, other than the femto tech. But yeah, so death is going to have a different meaning in the new age. I just want to say.
Yeah, it would be good to bring back people that you've loved and and lost. You know, I lost my best friend, Hugh. It'd be great to see him again or bring him back. That would be like a whole better
Christine,
world.
do they want to come back?
What?
Maybe they're somewhere else a lot better. Why do they want to come back here?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. What we have to figure out the free will component. We need to ask the individual, would you like to come back? Some may say no, I don't want to go back there, but some may actually say yes, because we're going to be a 5D Earth. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be like it is right now. Some may want to just experience it.
Yeah, and they might miss people that are here, Miles.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole point of a soul cycle, is to learn and experience and move on. And why come back to a 3D world where everybody, has to pay taxes and,
all that's going to be eliminated. We won't need to pay taxes anymore. We'll have replicator technology. We'll have teleportation, free energy.
Dark chocolate bounty bars.
Oh dear. No, we've worked out.
I mean, what positive thing can we do, James, to stop the so-called cabal from making hell on Earth? Because, I mean, there's a lot of fear there. I mean, it's very nice to wait for the replicator ships to make us all feel nice and happy and give us our eternal life. I mean, that seems to be a Christian thing that's been sold to us. But, I mean, what do we do today to stop the nasty cabal turning this planet into a dustbin, which is doing very well at the moment?
Yeah, well, I think prayer is probably the only thing we have, unless you're a super soldier, and then they'll probably be using you on missions. But in that case, you wouldn't remember it anyway. So, yeah, as far as your own, what you could do through a free will decision, try to, I say, we need to work on saving the environment. We need to stop all this fracking and dumping plastics in the ocean, as well as.
I mean, how does an individual do that? They can't go. I mean, the industrial military complex is pushing this down our throats.
That's right. It's a shame. That's a shame. Even what's going on in Standing Rock, where there's protesters out there trying to stop them from polluting the water supply of 22 million people, and the media just treats it like a poo-poo. They just think it's a joke. So, and once the water is contaminated and polluted, it's too late. And what happens when everybody's water gets contaminated?
I mean, that's happening in Australia. Ian Crane did a really good documentary about that in Australia, and it's happening on a mass scale. Venting methane, everything is horrendous. People don't really see how serious this is.
Yeah, and eventually they'll mess up the carbon cycle of the planet, and that's where John Titor was talking about. I can show you. See if I can look around here somewhere.
I mean, is there anything we can, while you do that, what can people do which is going to be an effective thing?
I think he was saying about praying. I think that's a good idea. We can rise up our own consciousness to pray. I think that is one of the best things we can do. Don't you agree, James?
Yeah, it would help us tune into that parallel reality. And I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't experienced that already, is the cataclysms and all that, is because the people in this reality are a lot more positive and loving, and the femto and the nanites.
Exactly. So everybody love each other and keep praying and tune in to love. I think that's a great answer. Yeah. So thank you for listening, and thanks very much, James Rink, thank you, James, for the great meditation, and thank you, Miles Johnston, and thank you all for listening. God bless. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.